Okay, I'm going to go over an update that is already on the site ready for download. The order flow bars update, the bubbles can be resized. So the bubbles right here can be resized. The text inside the bubbles can be resized. And I'm going to go over these settings. And the stacked imbalances right here, there's opacity that you can set. Now the stacked imbalances, if it's a darker color, that means there's multiple stacked imbalances on top of each other. And that just means it's probably a greater stacked imbalance. And then as you can see right here, kind of like this one is kind of light. That's just two stacked imbalances. And this one has multiple stacked imbalances. So it's like a darker color. Now, there is no need for tick data. So if you go inside, believe it's tools, settings. If you go into tools, settings, and you go into market data, I have show tick replay. You don't need that for this. And honestly, I suggest that you don't use it. Basically, that's just for historical tick data. And historical tick data is not all that accurate, to be quite honest. The real-time data that is coming in, I'm reading the market data that's actually coming in. So the stacked imbalances happen live time, and then also the bubbles are happening live, and the persistent buy-in is happening in live as well. And so that is really not needed, is the tick replay. So, and also the stacked imbalances, if you are seeing a lot of them on the chart, if you're using the tick data for historical data, that could be an issue as well. But for the live time, real time data, you shouldn't have a problem. And if you are seeing way too many stacked imbalances, that's because you have your settings down too low. And it really depends on what instrument you're trading. You're going to have to play around with the stacked imbalances for that. And the beta is free for now, and it's going to stay in beta for a little bit more. But once it is released, people have been asking how much this is going to cost. And what I'm thinking, this is not um, anything solid right now. This is just to see what people think. Um, if you want to support this indicator, because there's a lot more to come, if you want to support it, that's great. If not, then maybe you'll come back in the future. But when it's out of beta, which is going to be in the near future, right now, what I want to do is I want to contact some prop firms, maybe Apex, Bullnox, Lucid, to see if they can't give away some free $50,000 evaluations, and I'm going to run an ad for the order flow bars. And then anybody that signs up is going to be in a drawing to win a free $50,000 eval account. Maybe we'll have multiple drawings. It all depends on what I can get these prop firms to do. But the release, once it's released and out of beta, what I'm thinking is about $25 a month or $150 a year. $150 a year is like $12 a month. And this is for everything. Any indicator that I write in the future, it's gonna cover everything. I'm not gonna be charging per indicator or anything like that. So that's what I'm thinking about, and this is not a Bookmap replacement. Bookmap is a huge desktop app, and this is not a Bookmap replacement. Now, this is showing you the bubbles and real-time data, the stacked imbalances, the persistent buy-in. It just helps me be able to trade a little bit better, and that's why I've released it, because if it was able to help me trade better, then I'm sure it could help other people as well. Now, what is coming? The imbalanced extended user setting. What I'm gonna do is right now the stacked imbalance is like right here. What I'm thinking of is having it by default extend out to 5 bars, and if we trade through it, then it kind of cuts it off. Um, and that's going to be a user setting, so you can see the stacked and bounce out a little bit further. And also the bubble profile, it's going to have its own settings. The bubble profile right here, right now, it's going off of the bubble settings. So if you have the tick merge set to like 4, and with the volume of like 30 like I have, that's what's going to show up on the volume profile. So what I'm thinking about is having the own volume profile setting, so you can set it to like 1 tick and like 1 volume, and they'll start calculating everything and give you a more traditional volume profile. And also, what's coming is right now, this yellow line is the VWAP, it's the session VWAP. What I'm going to be doing is putting up another indicator, a VWAP for real time hours and electronic trading hours for the VWAP. And they're going to be so you can set the color yourself and you can choose, do you want the overnight session VWAP, or do you just want the New York VWAP? And also, the next big thing that I'm going to be releasing after this comes out of beta, the next big thing that I'm going to be working on is a order flow bars DOM. You're going to need level 2 data for this, but this is the next big indicator that I'm going to be working on. It's going to have the price, it's going to have the bid, the ask in real time, it's going to have all the resting orders. It's going to highlight large orders that are set for the bid and ask. It's going to have the delta sell, the delta buying. It's going to have the volume profile on the DOM. So that's the next big thing that I'm going to be releasing, but that's going to be after the beta release, after the beta release of what we have now. Once that goes live, then I'm going to go ahead and start working on a beta release for the DOM. Make sure you go ahead and download the update, and you'll get this. Let me go over the settings real quick. So the settings that I have for the order flow bars, of course, you have the regular, the heat map ladder. I'm going to possibly take that out because that's going to be in the order flow bars DOM. And you're going to need level 2 for this anyways, but I'm going to be making our own DOM. But the bubbles right here, you can have the bubble minimum volume, but also the flash duration that needs to be fixed. So I know that's not currently working for me, so that needs to be fixed. But the bubble opacity can be set to zero point 0.4. If you hover over this, it says 0 for invisible, 1 for solid. If you want the opacity just be a solid color, then you can just put like 1. Or if you want it half opacity, put 0.5. The bubble size, this depends on the instrument you're trading. Also, it depends on the resolution of your screen. So if you want the bubble size to be smaller or bigger, the minimum is 1, the max is 50. So, and also the size of the bubble, the smaller the bubble, the lower the volume, the bigger bubble, the bigger the volume. All that is done. That's just logic inside the code. So, but this will, you can change the bubble size, and then the bubble text, you can put the text, how big you want the text inside the bubble. Let's come down here to imbalance settings. Right now, the stack levels required. I have it imbalance ratio set to 4 to 4. This is for the NASDAQ. And the imbalance opacity, I have set to zero point 0.4. So that is the settings that I have for the NQ. And just go ahead and download the update, and it should be good to go. I have some of the default settings there. So if you want the bubble opacity to be lighter or darker, you're going to have to set that. And also the bubble text, and also the bubble size, that depends on the resolution of your screen. So that's all I have for the update. Also, I really need to start working on the site. The indicator is working good enough. I need to start working on the site. The site really needs to be worked on. It's just a very basic site that I kind of threw up there to get things working. I really need to get the site kind of locked down and have that better. That's all I have for now. Thanks. Bye.